Thank you for joining the Author Spotlight Show. My name is Gail Watson, President and CEO of Women Speakers Association. As part of running a global community in 120 countries, it is my privilege that I get to connect and have conversations with women from around the world doing amazing work. It's an important time for women to really step up and into finding their voice, owning their voice, and it's even more exciting when she puts those words down on paper into a book to share her voice. On today's show, we have the most amazing woman that you need to get to know. She is international best-selling author, Lorraine Lane. Welcome to the show, Lorraine.
Thank you, Gail. Glad to be here.
So exciting to have you. And we were just talking just prior to going on air that we've shared many great conversations. And we want to share one of those conversations today. And you share, as co-author in Voices of the 21st Century, you share a personal story, a very interesting one, and one that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And that's along those lines of, what happens when you outperform your boss? Why don't we dig a little deeper in behind the scenes on that one, and why you're sharing that story?
Okay, great. Well, what happened was in a conversation with you, because I said I didn't know what to write about in the Voices, this story came out, even though I tried to stuff it back in, it just came out. And you said, you need to write about that. And I thought, oh, I don't want to go back and revisit that story because it was painful. But when I did let myself look at it, there were so many lessons there that I hadn't taken the time to look at. And it was really good for me to write that chapter, to revisit that and see what that was for me. So thank you for that conversation and that encouragement. So I was in the high-tech industry as a recruiter, and there was a gentleman, Barry, who was recognized as the top recruiter in the company. And he had an opening, and I went and talked with him, and I said, I want you to mentor me. I want to be an excellent recruiter. So he said, great. Hired me into his team. And then he left the company in 2 months. Invited me to join him, but it would have meant a 2-hour commute. And I had a young daughter, and I was a single parent, so I didn't join him. And the other woman in the department got promoted into the management position. And like you say, it's when you outperform your boss, it's not a good idea. But I didn't realize I was outperforming my boss. I was just doing my job. And so I was filling openings that had been open for 12 to 18 months. When the managers were told there's nobody out there, we can't hire, and just hire subcontractors. And I was finding people to fill those jobs. So the managers were writing letters of recommendation to my boss, and she never shared them with me. I only knew about that when the managers told me and shared their letter with me. So come review time, I got a horrible review. And we were rated on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being a superstar and 1 you needed to get fired. I was rated a 2. Now, for a high achiever and a Virgo, that is not good news. So I was speechless. Things that she said, I wasn't a team player. I didn't know how to manage my time, and I just wasn't good at my job. So I went home, and I thought, how am I going to handle this? And what I realized was that was the first time in my life I ever stood up for myself. And so I wrote a rebuttal, and it was pages long. And she wouldn't even read it. She wouldn't look at it. So I went to her manager and we had a three-way meeting, nothing happened. So Donna, that manager, said, I need to pull you out of there because you're not going to make it. So I was put on a special project. And in that company, that was like the kiss of death. If you were on a special project, you needed to start looking for a job. But I was working for someone who recognized my ability, and he said, work on this project for a couple months, then I've got something else I really want you to do. And what that was leading focus groups as a result of a company-wide survey. That taught me how to stand up in front of people, how to speak, how to present data, how to do presentations. And I met the top level managers in the company. And I learned the software and showed areas that they needed to pay attention to that even the survey company hadn't done. So I was excelling in that project. And then Brian, this manager, said to me, I want you to take the human resources manager job for Dawn, who's coming back from overseas. Well, Dawn had the reputation of being a horrible manager. And I said, no, please, no, I've had enough bad experiences. So Brian said to me, I will coach you through. You will do absolutely fine. I worked for Dawn. I know what to do, so trust me. That next 8 years of my career were amazing. And I realized I would never have had that opportunity had I not worked for Pauline and had that horrible review. So that, you know, when I look back how the dominoes fell and what I was able to do in those 8 years, and Dawn and I did get along really well. So looking back at that story, it was like, I always looked at it as awful, but you know, it turned out that it really was a blessing in disguise for a lot of reasons. So I was happy to revisit that, and thank you for the opportunity to do that.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, it took, like, as you said, sometimes when we revisit these stories that are held within us, they bring up a lot of pain, and it takes a lot of courage, guts to share these stories, to go down and shed maybe some tears over and re-feel that pain again. So, way to go. It's a big deal, and it's those, you know, you can hear that these stories are, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people have experienced this kind of treatment in the workplace, uh,
Yeah.
but yet it can be so devastating and really, really attack us, especially as high performers. So, Lorraine, as you were writing this story and you shared some lessons come out of it, when you imagine someone reading this story, what do you really want them to take away from it?
That looking for other people to stand up for you when you don't stand up for yourself, that doesn't work. So I had always been kind of shrink into the woodwork, you know, not standing up for myself, and that's another story. But this time, I think because I was a single parent and I needed the benefits of this job, and I had moved from Vermont to Massachusetts for that job, and I thought, I can't let this go down this way. I will not leave this company, and I'm not going to take this. So whatever I have to do. And so the determination that this was not the truth, this was not right. And I wouldn't agree to it. I did not sign that review. And I demanded that my rebuttal be put in my file. So it took it took a lot of courage. It really did. You know, when I look back and think, no, it really, really, really took a lot of courage.
Mhm.
So, you know, I thought people are going to think, and it doesn't matter. I know what the truth is, and I'm going to stand up for it.
I love that. It's now this has really morphed into your world today because I
Yes.
know it's what you do, and I've personally had conversations with people who have worked with you as their coach or mentor, them as your client. And one thing consistent with you, Lorraine, I have to say, is when people have worked with you, they rave about you. I mean, they
Mm.
are lifelong fans. You create transformation in their world. So tell me, and well, share with everybody else here what it is that you do and how you serve people today.
Well, it's action. You need to take some action, whether it's a small action that you take, get the momentum going, right? And so when I'm working with clients, it's like, what is the problem? What is the problem? What's aching? What is nagging at you, to find that? And then what are you willing to do about it? Because if you're not willing and it's too much of an action, you won't take it, right? So if somebody had said to me, leave that company, go find a better job, that was too much of a leap for me to take. I wasn't willing to do that. Excuse me.
Oh, water break.
Water break. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Allergies are rampant here in Florida.
Yeah.
So what I do with them is find them where they are. I'm sorry. And take a step, take one small step. It could be, I just got off the phone with a client, and her aspirations are way up here. And so I brought it back down to, what do you do every day? And we got to something that's going to make a big difference in how she's perceived in her organization, but it's a small thing. And I could see in her body language, she's willing to do that. And when we wrapped up, I said, what was the most important thing? And it's that small thing. So I can't wait to do that. So that's going to create momentum and energy and her willingness to do even bigger things. So
Love that. I love you really get people into action. And it is from that action that you create that transformation. And that's where people feel success. And it's no wonder that people rave about you,
Mhm.
and stay with you, for the long term. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, that just speaks for itself.
Yeah. I'm not the coach for you if you want to sit on the couch and eat bonbons.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so Lorraine, Voices of the 21st Century. I know that you have also authored two other books
Mhm.
that we want to touch on as well.
Yep.
And want to talk about where can we get our hands on these books?
Well, you can get your hands on them by contacting me, or they're both available on Amazon. So this one took 10 years to write, and this one took 3 months. So my journey in learning how to connect with people in the business world was a lot of trial and error.
Well,
And success.
pardon?
And success.
And success. It's a big
Yeah.
world to navigate, especially if you're someone so if someone's listening right now and you want to break into that world and you want to learn how to build relationships in that corporate world, especially now that we're in the virtual setting,
Yes.
reach out to Lorraine, get a copy of these books. They're fabulous books. And you can get voices. So can we go directly to your website as well to connect with you? What's your website?
My website is lanebc.com, LANEBC.com.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, you are a wealth of information, and I love chatting with you. Because you know intimately that behind the curtain of the corporate world, you've worked all different aspects of it, and you are absolutely much needed to anyone who's either wanting to break into that world or who's having those challenges
Yeah.
navigating, especially now. It's tough to have those um, relationships with your supervisors when
Mhm.
we're sitting in a virtual world.
Yeah. I think
You know,
sometimes we think that we've come such a long way. And I hear stories. Some have not evolved very much.
no, it's kind of sad because as you mentioned before, what can happen in a toxic environment? I mean, it can really rob us of our soul because we're putting our heart and soul into a position, into a role, and wanting to achieve, and just because
Mm.
somebody else may be threatened or may not be doing their job the way that they're supposed to,
Yeah.
will receive that, will receive the lash of that. You know, they
Mhm.
so
Yes.
it can be devastating for sure. Okay, Lorraine, you are so full of wisdom. I know because every time we chat, you always have something just perfect to say. So please leave us as we conclude, our conversation today with your words of wisdom.
I think we need to be really conscious of supporting and building each other up, just reaching out and being there for other people. And connecting, really connecting, not just a how are you, fine. That's, I don't consider connecting, but but really, listening to what people have to say. I think that's so needed right now. I'm talking with so many people who feel so isolated and alone, um, that we need to be there for each other.
That's beautiful. And that is truly a global message. Just simply, we need to be there for one another.
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
that. You have, and that's a true reflection of your heart, how much you give um, to your clients, how much, what you give into relationships with people. So I just want to really thank you for being so open,
Thank
being
you.
open in Voices of the 21st Century and sharing something that was painful to you, but created transformation. You took it and turned it around and use it to help others. So
Following the
excellent.
pebbles in the road.
Pebbles in the road, right? That
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
good. Well, thanks for joining us today, Lorraine.
Thank
And
you.
and I want to thank our listeners for also joining us. And we wish you well wherever you are in this world. Thank you.